For those who don't know me, I'm Lee O'Connor. I'm co-president of the Coonamble Chamber of Commerce and managing editor of the Coonamble Times and the Western Plains app. And I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight and thank you very much for making the time, especially to all our candidates. This is a new thing for most of you, and I know it's very nerve-wracking. I think there's a lot of nervous people in the room tonight. My co-host tonight is Josh Wrench, who's given his time to help us out. Josh, as you know, works at our local Elders branch, is manager there and a key mover in a number of local sports. The co-president of the Coonamble Chamber of Commerce is Rodney Vallet, who has apparently a medical allergy to public speaking. So he's on one of the roaming mics tonight, and along with another chamber member, Luke Crawford. So they'll be doing the Q&A so that everybody can hear the questions that are being asked. And we do have other chamber members here tonight, along with the Coonamble Times team. Sue Harkins is our bell ringer, and she's got some nice little bells there. We will be recording and videoing, but we'd ask if other people could not, just because we want to make sure that the audio is right and whatever goes out to the public is the right thing. But before I go any further, I'd like to ask Nina Sands, who's kindly offered to do the acknowledgement to country.
So my name is Nina, as Linda said. I'm a proud Wildlife woman. I'd just like to welcome you all here tonight to the club, to this event and on country. So I'd like to acknowledge the Wildlife and Milroy traditional owners of this nation we'll be meeting tonight. I'd like to encourage you all to think about, Indigenous sovereignty has never been ceded, and that Indigenous people still have connections to country and waterways and to communities. So I think it's amazing that we have so many candidates tonight who are passionate about our community. I wish them all the best of luck, and I hope you've got some really tricky questions for them.
Thank you, Nina. So back to the stars of the show. Firstly, I just wanted to congratulate all of our candidates. There's 17, and I've got a terrible memory, so I can't remember whether that is the biggest number that we've had for many years, but I suspect that it probably is. So congratulations to all of you for putting your hands up, being brave and bold enough to step forward, as well as making themselves available for a meeting that's once a month and happens during normal working hours, so they sort of have to forego whatever work they do and organise themselves during that time. There's a lot of learning and some very serious responsibilities that come with being a Shire councillor. And if you don't mind, I'll just take a few minutes just to talk about some of those. They're a very important link in the chain of our national democracy. And that sounds really serious, I suppose, but they are the closest level of government to the people that they serve, who are the residents of our district. I've always thought that this makes them more accountable than any other sort of politically elected representatives, because not only do we know where they live, but they'll bump into us, their constituents, every day of the week, any week of the year. So, they have to look us in the eye and stand by their decisions. Once they're elected, our councillors represent the whole of our Shire, and they have to consider the collective interests of all the ratepayers, the residents across our communities and our rural areas. As members of the governing body, councillors have to work hard to make very considered and well-informed decisions on our behalf. They're in a system that's part of the New South Wales government, and they are governed, and I guess you'd say restricted, by a lot of legislation. Plus codes of practice, standards, and any amount of red tape. So the reports and the business papers that the staff of the council prepare for them every month are daunting. I don't know if anyone's looked at them lately, but they are hundreds of pages. And it's up to them to make sure that they are across the relevant information, the facts and figures that need to be taken into account so they can make good decisions. They have to balance our budget and they have to do it as openly and transparently as they can because someone's always watching. The decision making can't be an ad hoc kind of thing. Their decisions have lasting effects on us and our children and our grandchildren, so they also have financial and legal consequences. So councils are required to have plans in place, and as far as I understand, they plan 4 years in advance. So anything that's not in the current plan that wasn't raised by the community as a priority when they consulted us to put the plans together, any new idea has a long road to hoe to be included in the budget or in the planned works. One of the most difficult things is that the elected councillors are sitting in the middle between a complex system of government and bureaucracy and all of us. So, we're the everyday people that they represent, and often we don't see or understand all the background information that they have to consider. And part of their role is to be a bridge between the council and the community to make sure that the information and the communication flows both ways. As residents, we can approach them with our issues and problems, and whether or not they agree with us, they carry those concerns into the discussion at council. And anyone that's ever been a councillor will tell you that they can't just click their fingers and make stuff happen. But they can make sure that the relevant director, the engineering or the health and building or whoever, or the general manager knows about our concerns. And if it's a day-to-day matter of operations, then maybe they can do something about it. If it's bigger and doesn't quite fit with what's in their agreed directions and plans, then they have to take it into the council chambers and get it considered as part of the official process. So it's a big job. Councillors have to make all reasonable efforts to gain and maintain all the skills necessary to perform their role properly. And any past councillor will also tell you that it's a serious learning curve that never really stops while they're on council. The other harsh reality about it is that because it's democracy, each councillor has only one vote. But they also commit to upholding and accurately representing the policies and decisions that, as a group, that they agree to when they're in the chambers. So even if they themselves vote against something, they have a chance while they're in the chambers to argue hard, put forward information and perspectives that they might have, ask tough questions and do all that stuff, but just to make sure that everything is properly considered. But once the votes happen, the majority rules, and once the decision's made, they're meant to uphold those decisions. So it really does take a certain amount of maturity to be able to work as part of a team that might include people that see things very differently to you. You have to debate respectfully, and sometimes you just agree to disagree, or you just have to suck it up when it doesn't go your way. And then you have to get back to the work of making our district a better place for all of us. So it's our job as voters to invest our one vote wisely and recognise the size and the scale of the effort involved for these people who do get elected and who have volunteered to take on what's mostly a thankless task of doing their collective best for all of us. So again, congratulations to all the candidates, and thanks for giving us the opportunity tonight to get to know you better. And I'll now hand over to Josh, who will kick off the proceedings. And thank you very much for listening.
Righto, I'm going to go through first. I'll just do the apologies. There are 5 candidates that can't be here tonight: Al Caranoon, Chris Newbold, Robert Thomas, Narelle Mayo and Pat Cullen. Now I'll go through how it's going to work today with meet the candidates. Each candidate will speak for 3 minutes. The order is based on the ballot paper, which was random and we've just flipped it. We ask everyone to listen respectfully to each candidate. Once all candidates have spoken, then we'll have a question and answer. During the Q&A, please put your hands up and we'll get to you as soon as we can. Please keep questions based on candidates' platforms and policies and all local issues. Personal, inflammatory or inappropriate questions will not be tolerated. Myself, Rodney and Luke have the right to stop a question, and so do the candidates if they don't feel it's appropriate and don't want to answer the question. You can ask the same question of more than one candidate if time allows. As this is not a debate, and to keep time, candidates cannot ask each other questions. So questions are just from the floor.